It's so hard to know what to say when people are suffering, when they are exposed to tragedy, upheaval, transformation, the unknowable. And there you are. And what what do you what do you say? And almost always it's going to be insufficient. It will be awkward. It will be redundant. And many times my experience has been the less said, the better. When possible, touch. Even maybe holding, but sometimes that gets to be too communicative, too much noise. What's really wanted mostly is, in a sense, an acknowledgement, an empathetic awareness of what is happening in someone's life, and the knowledge that you are aware and that you care. Done. If you watch the news these days and you watch all the reportage on what's happening in the forest fires in California and all the things that are being written about in the papers, uh, it never touches the magnitude. It never touches the depth. It never touches the absolute truth of what is going on. And it's because, in many ways, most of us are clueless. We have not had those experiences. We have not lost our homes. We have not lost loved ones in tragic experiences. I mean, of course, many of us have, but many of us have really been relatively untouched by life. We have lived lives of some relative comfort. No, none of us are escaping it at this point completely. We all have things that probably have brought us to this meditation, to be honest. The initiatory experience in life that makes you feel suffering and grief and loss, and that opens you up to one of two things: anger and annoyance, and why me? And going deeper inside for answers, comfort, and truth. That's the way, that's the way to find something inside us that can move forward, can accept, that can allow all of these things to happen. And if ever there's a time where one has to be available to others, times of tragedy and struggle and difficulty are those times. And and truly, on every level, none of us know what to do. And most of what we do is not appropriate. So should that stop us? No. Better be inappropriate, better say the wrong things than say nothing. Better to show up than not show up. Better to reach out than to look away. So be imperfect. Be an imperfect human being and do the best you can on every level. And know that in some strange way, it's enough. I'm going to throw three words out at you that may speak to the moment, maybe not, this kind of spiritual journey of life. One of them is to try, which means to reach out, to help, to energize your feelings and your emotions and your heart, to try and do, basically. Another is to allow, and allow means to go, even this. And then there's the third version between try, allow, and then the end, be. The interesting differentiation between the three is that trying involves you on some fundamental physiological, emotional level, and is not inappropriate. Try to whatever, do in life, be, help, whatever you can do. The second is allow, which is to let the world unfold as it does. I mean, that you don't interact with it as a whole because it doesn't care what you do on that level. You allow it to unfold as it does, as it will, because there isn't a lot you can do to get in and change it once it's unfolding. It's just happening. So, not that you shouldn't try to do something, but you can allow it to be what it is. And then there's this idea of just be. And being is different from trying and allowing, because trying is you personally, egoistically, trying to do something. Allowing, which is a kind of surrender, which is a big part of Rudy's teaching, is still strangely you doing it. You owning the idea of letting it happen. Better than fighting it, better than anger, better than hostility, better than why. It's just allow. And it's a good state to arrive at. And for many people, it's kind of what they're really reaching for. But being, there's no action. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to attempt. There's nothing to arrive at. It's just happening. Being at this moment in time is happening to you. You are. You exist. You are in this. And interestingly enough, if you go deep enough into the existence of just being, which is involving a practice and involving and allowing and asking and trying all these different things to arrive at. But when you get there, there's no you anymore trying to do anything. It's just being. And actually, everything in life is just being. And it's all happening whether you're engaged in it or not. Your engagement is part of the act of being, but there will come a point where you realize that all the stuff you allow and all the stuff you do and all the stuff you are interacting with in life is really a kind of external manifestation of existence. And it doesn't really matter how much you engage it personally or not. You can become an exquisite dancer in the dance of life, or you can become an awkward, complicated persona in the experience of life. But one way or another, the being is happening. To try to get to being is absurd. How do you get to being? You're being. You're doing it. You're perfect as you are. Right at this moment, you tell me how to stop being. Well, I'm not going to give you any answers to that, but I will tell you that being in the manifested sense has conclusion. It has an ending. In the world as we know it, the person, the ego-minded self, the one who is trying and allowing and doing all of those things, is temporary, as we all know, impermanent, and being as we know it for the person will stop. Does being itself stop entirely? Well, there are religions based on that thought and on that question. Is it over, done, finished, no more being? Or does being continue? The only thing I can say is that in my aging process and watching people around me age, I'm watching things fall away and being continuing. And they're not very much related exactly to Bruce. There's definitely Bruce here observing, there's Bruce here allowing, there's Bruce here trying, and all of that stuff. But what's really fascinating is that the being is just happening, even as Bruce, fall away. So there is some indicator in that something is going on. Will it go on forever? My guess is yes, but who cares about my guess? The reality is that we don't know because the cognitive person who gets it is not going to survive. We are going to fall apart one way or another. And the rules and the laws and the things governing our day-to-day activity, long before we leave this world, are going to start to shatter. It can shatter in a firestorm, literally, around everything you know and own. And I have dear friends in Los Angeles who have, in the last 5 days, lost their homes. None have yet lost their lives, but I have two cousins who lost homes. I have a dear friend who lives in a place called Mandeville Canyon. I turned on the news yesterday morning and it had Mandeville Canyon and there were flames. And I was finally able to reach my friend, and even he doesn't know what's happening in terms of the destruction of his own home. And you can't just call somebody and say, well, what's happening? What have you seen? There's no answer. There is no way to know until the moment comes where the revelation occurs. This is happening to a lot of people right now. And boy, oh boy, do you want to reach out and hug them and express care in any way you can. And of course, you can write texts and emails, call if you can. You may not get answers. Who knows? But expressing empathy and love is really essential. But I will tell you this, their lives will never be the same after this. And there will be a kind of why me, God, possibly, or an acceptance and allowing and a kind of even being on a whole other level that could be incredibly transformative. Not trying to put this in a positive package, but I'm telling you, loss at this point in life, at any point in life, is an initiation into the deeper realms of being in which you can go profoundly into a space of awareness that you may not have ever dreamed possible, or you can go into an anger that you may never have imagined you were capable of. Those are choices. I have another dear friend this exact same time who went to the bathroom in the middle of the night and then instead of going back to the bedroom, fell down a flight of stairs and has a brain bleed of 5 brain bleeds in his head, is in rehabilitation, does not have his memory is kind of shattered. His partner, his wife in this lifetime, her life is no longer able to go forward in the way that it did. In fall, one fall, it will not go forward the way it did. The stairs are no longer possible, at least at this moment in time. And all we could do is visit his friend and hug them, try to sit and hug the wife, who is, I feel, going through an enormous struggle at this point, because now what? Nothing prepares you for these kinds of changes. And the non-linear structure of life, where it suddenly breaks apart like that, is not only uncomfortable and strange, it is inevitable. It is inevitable. So all I can tell you is there is no preparation as deep and profound as you trying, prepare yourself, allowing whatever arrives, and then just being, which is to free yourself of all of this need to think of you as separate from any of it, that it's going to benefit you. Trust me, at some point that will happen. That will happen. But until that happens, the more you can allow and try and be human in the best version of that as you possibly can, until you can do that, then being will announce itself. And when being announces itself, the best thing in the world is go, thank you. And I'm telling you, my days of being have expanded. I do not understand them. There's the Bruce person who would put it into context and understanding is not kind of fading, but the being is not. The being is vibrant as can be. It looks out the window and goes, it reaches out in the morning for Blanche's hand or head or whatever. I can't get enough of the touch that comes from being with my wife and knowing her and having had this life, this nostalgic life of having been together for so many, many decades. And this experience of being, which is not based on time, it is timeless. It is enormous, is just there. And it is the ultimate reservoir of joy and hope and ability to survive whatever unfolds. Being is the answer. I know that's not going to be an answer for people right now whose houses have just burned down, who have lost people who are having brain bleeds. This is not going to be an answer. Although, when I visited my friend with the brain bleed, the heart of this person in the hug that we had was like nothing I've experienced before, whatever that means. Nothing was able, nothing cognitively got shared. The love got shared. So all I can say to all of us at this moment in time is that as we move toward being, it will, I think, help resolve some of the issues that we have in dealing with loss and grief and transformation and the horror of what life can do to a person at any given moment and change the entire trajectory. And do you have a reason to be angry and hostile at life for doing that? Yeah, sure. Again, I do this almost weekly, but Jesus on the cross was not happy that he was on a cross. Not happy, abandoned, forsaken. If Jesus is forsaken, of course, we will all potentially feel forsaken. But the instruction that Jesus gave was do unto others, forgive them for they know not what they do, reaching to the other side rather than into your own suffering. Boy, oh boy, is that great advice. Reach out and help others. And if you watch the news at all in Los Angeles and anywhere where there's been hurricanes or dramas of this nature, people reaching out to each other is the most beautiful part of what occurs. On the other hand, the individual self has to go home and go to bed at night and go, why me? Why have I been abandoned by the joy and beauty of life? The answer doesn't come. It just says, do unto others, help others. Why? The only reason for why possibly is I have given you life. You have been given life. You've enjoyed a world. You've enjoyed the things you've lost. You've enjoyed breathing. You've enjoyed sunrises and sunsets and trees and birds and fish and all these things. That may be enough. You have had this. Is it getting taken away? Yes. Will it be inevitable that you're going to lose everything? Yes. Will you be able to allow it with grace? I hope so. I hope so. We're all on that path, trying to get there, allowing life to happen, and then being. Just be. The being part has only a small part to do with your ego, mind, self, individualized being. It has to do with the collective being that we all are. And as you and your mind and your memory fall apart, you will be amazed to find that being is a constant and you are part of something vast that has nothing to do with, well, not nothing, but minusculely has anything to do with you. You're a blip, but boy, what a great blip. What a great blip you are. You are meant to be. You are radiance itself blipping into the world, a stream of light blipping into the world. I am so grateful that I have blipped with you together. We will go on with this journey for however long it goes. It will take turns we don't like, we don't want. We will hold hands where we can. And in the end, being will survive, I believe, and prevail. And we are all going to be part of that being. We are part of that being. It's not a will, it's not a future. It's a constant, it's a presence, it's now, and this is it. This is what we have. And God bless every one of us who is being as we speak here. My computer is telling me that I have a low battery, so this could die at any given moment. So again, talk about impermanence. But if there are any questions before the computer dies, I'm happy to answer them. And if it doesn't work out, you're going to have to ask higher sources than Bruce. I don't have, you're all on two screens, so I can't see both screens. Any questions? Okay. I will take that as a no. I love you guys. Again, my heart goes out to everybody in California. I'm going to do the California class next week. Whoever is able to show up, I will be grateful to sit with. And anyone who wants to call me, who wants to write, who wants to reach out, I am here and I will make myself available. And I just send love to everybody who's having this transitional moment that is so uncomfortable. Thank you for coming. Love to you all.